We had known always that we wanted another child, or multiple children, and we prayed and prayed to the Lord to give us another one, and for some reason it just never worked out for us to conceive again.
And so we adopted 3 precious children in between, and were just completely surprised and overwhelmed when we found out we were expecting Gideon.
A couple of days after Gideon's first birthday, we had just come home from a camping trip with our family, and we had noticed on the trip that he had been walking a lot less than normal, and 2 days after we returned, he was sitting in his high chair and his head was tilted to the side, and when I tried to straighten him up, he couldn't. He screamed like it was hurting him.
So we just immediately went to the pediatrician's office, and she said, you know, he looks okay, but just go ahead and let's just double check and take him to the hospital. And they came back in with a picture of Gideon's brain and told me that Gideon had a brain tumor, and it was the size of a tennis ball, and he had to have surgery immediately. After the surgery, we're brought in to see him, so we've waited 9.5 hours as he's gone through the surgery. As soon as I go back to the room, he starts crashing, and they're having to give him CPR through the ventilation mask, and I'm asked to leave. And that was so hard, so we just kind of collapsed into the arms of our church. His blood pressure would skyrocket, and he continued to crash. And it happened for days and days and days.
I was concerned that maybe the Thompson family had used up all their miracles. I just wasn't sure, because we had already been given a multitude of miracles by God medically.
We posted Bible verses all in the room, and we just prayed. And we just knew God was a healer, and we just completely put all of our trust in God. 10 days after the biopsy results came in, and we were told that Gideon had nodular desmoplastic medulloblastoma, which is brain cancer. As soon as he healed from his surgery, he would have 6 months of chemotherapy.
Gideon went in to have labs tested on his off week of chemo, and his white blood cell count was at 0. We were told to expect, if we were lucky, a rise of 50 to 100 points per day, and he wouldn't be released until he reached 500 to come home. We prayed so hard, and we have a Facebook page, we posted on it, and so many prayer warriors came around and joined together and said, Lord, please heal this little boy. He has so little time at home with his family now. Please give it back to him. And the next morning, 8 hours later, his white blood cell count was 7,000. A miracle that the medical staff had no means to explain. They literally had no medical history that told them that anybody could raise their white blood cell count in that time.
We actually had one physician that said, there's something going on with Gideon, and there's something going on in your church. We just said, well, we're praying. So he has an MRI on Tuesday, and if his MRI of his head and spine are clear, then he will have his port removed and he'll be done.
But Gideon's MRI is negative, normal, stable, all of those good words. It specifically says no evidence of residual or tumor. Right on, man.
But we have been just so incredibly blessed. God has truly come to us and shown us time and time again throughout this that He provides.
We've seen God, we've seen God's grace, we've seen His peace, we've seen healing, and we have seen miracles.